Hey guys, this is Dorian Day and welcome to Massive in Depth number 21. Today we're going to be going over how to make analog leads in Massive. This video accompanies the release of a pack from Sick Twisted Mind Studios called Analog Leads Volume 1. You can find the link in the description to buy it, along with the link to the demo pack containing the presets we're going to go over in this video. Now before we begin this, I want to give you a disclaimer. I've never touched an analog synth and I've never heard one firsthand. I've only ever heard them in music or examples that you might find online or read about them online. So a better title for this pack probably would have been retro synths or something else, but that sort of gives the wrong impression as well. With that said, I didn't set out to make an analog lead pack. It sort of just happened like the guitar leads. I was making presets, and every once in a while I'd get a preset that made me think analog for whatever reason. Now, whether or not that was correct is up to you guys, but when all was said and done and I looked back at the patches, I noticed they ended up having a lot of similarities. So I was consistently thinking the same things sounded analog. So here's my rundown of what I'm calling analog leads. Every patch in the pack has at least one of the following sound design properties, and a lot of them have like 3 or all of them. So let's see, we're going to go through and I'm going to click through these patches really fast and after I say the properties so you can see that it's fairly true. So the first property was you should use a low pass filter with a low cutoff to the filter to filter the sound heavily, and then apply an envelope with a long attack for a sweep effect. So look in the filter section right here, and I'm going to click through really quick. Maybe a little slower. Okay, I went through them more than once. You can see a number of low passes in there. And then if you look at the envelopes, I think it's mostly 1, we'll see. So that's 2. This one has a fast attack and long decay. So on and so forth. The second property was many of the patches utilized noise to add ambiance or simulate the higher noise floor of analog gear. So just check the noise section and I'm going to click through. Okay, I think I clicked through like an extra 10 times. The third property was most of the sounds have a medium to long release. So check the release on 4. I also think that this is one of the reasons that the long release contributed to me to the idea of it being retro feeling or analog, is because most dance music is so fast that long release times on leads are really rare. So it instantly seems out of context and to me less modern. Alright, so the fourth property is most of the sounds have short to medium attack or longer on their volume envelopes. So now look at the attacks on this envelope. I mean, I think there's like 2 or 3 instant attacks, but they all have macros on them anyways. So there's pretty much no patch in here with instant attack. All right, finally, the fifth property. Most of the patches have either a modulation effect, such as chorus, phaser, or flanger to soften the sound, or a dimension expander or reverb to add space. So just check the effects section as I click through. Forgot to mention delay too. Whoops. Okay, so we probably went through. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to show you the demo patches. So 2. Okay, first we have 2 two oscillators. The first is VA pulse width modulation, and it's on saw, so it's pretty much just a saw wave. We have pitch 0, or it's set to fundamental, and then the second oscillator is a square saw 1 set to saw. And yeah, I'm gonna change this macro. Okay, set it to saw. Intensity all the way to the right, and then pulse width all the way to the right. I don't think I said that. Amp on both, or the amp on the first is full, and then the amp on the second is at like 130. We're only going into the top filter, set to parallel. I forgot the Moto SC. We have 0 pitch phase modulation set to the first oscillator, phase knob all the way to the left. All right, now we have the filter. We're only using the top filter. It's a low pass 4, cutoff set all the way to the left, no resonance, full volume mix only on the first. We have no external effects or final effects, bus effects, I don't know what to call it, master effects. We have a little bit of high shelf, and then we have a filter in the chain, or in the routing chain, with insert 1. Set it to high pass, low pass filter. Set the high pass knob all the way to the left, keep the low pass knob in the center. It's inserted after the first filter. Our envelope has slightly more than default attack. Release is twice default, I think, right here. I don't know, that's like 10 o'clock. Noise, we have bright noise, color. I forgot to mention that earlier. I like to do all the oscillators first. Bright noise, full color, amp all the way down. Next we have envelope 2. Its level is not max. So its attack is fast, level is, I don't know, like 70%. It's just slightly above fully right. Decay is at 1030. Level is slightly left of middle. Release is right of middle, right of center. Okay, the macros. Number 1 is on the low pass filter. The insert right here goes full modulation depth. 2 is on vibrato. 2 is on, or 3 is on this weird thing I named. What's going on? High pass. Okay, number 4 is transform. And where is transform? It's in the decay. 5 is square saw. 6 is pull phase modulation. 7 is the on noise. 8 is on the release. All right, the next patch is 5. All right, let's see. We have needle on the first oscillator. Max wavetable position, max intensity, max amp, only going to the top filter. Second oscillator, 1 octave above, it's a screamer. Wavetable position full, intensity full, amp at 2 o'clock. Third oscillator, 1 octave down, added a fourth. Wavetable position max, intensity at like 1030, amp max. They're all only going to the top filter. No Moto SC, no noise, no feedback. We're using a bandpass filter. We're in serial mode. So we're only using the top filter. I prefer to have this down in that case. Cut off all the way to the left, bandwidth all the way to the left, resonance all the way to the left. Bronner tube, pretty much directly left on both, slightly more on dry wet. Flanger, positive mono. Dry wet all the way to the left. Rate, slightly down from directly left. Feedback, even less so. Depth looks all the way to the left, or facing left. Attack envelope, once again, slightly more than default attack. A release is at like 1030. Nothing on envelope 3. 2 goes to intensity and the cutoff on the bandpass filter. Max depth on the cutoff, about quarter depth on the intensity knob. Attack is max sustain over here. I don't know if I said that. On 2, we have no sustain. Decay is slightly more than halfway. The attack is slightly more than default. The release is slightly more than midway. No insert effects. Oh, EQ, slight low shelf cut. Slight cut with on the boost knob. Frequency pretty much all the way down. I think all the way, yeah. High shelf is at like 1030, 11. All right, now we have the macros. First is controlling vibrato. Second is controlling the attack on the envelope, the bandpass envelope. Third is on stereo. Controls the pan position. Next is on the flanger. About halfway depth. Brightness is on the high shelf. 6 is the resonance on the bandpass filter. 7 is the bandwidth on the bandpass filter. 8 is controls the side chaining on the envelope controlling the bandpass. So if I turn this all the way down, it basically doesn't swipe. All right. That does it for patch 5. For 16. Okay, we have 3 square saw 1s. One is 1 octave above. The second is 10 cents above fundamental. The third is 8 cents below the fundamental. They're all on max wavetable position, so they're saws. They're all on max intensity except for the third one, which I'm going to just make max. And they all have max amps, and they're all going into the top filter. No modulation. We have white noise. Color is all the way. Amp is slightly less than middle, so slightly left of dead center, and it's going into the second filter only. We're on parallel mode for the filters so that we can send the noise just into the bottom one and high pass it, and send just the oscillators into the top one and low cut them, or low pass them. The mix is in the center so that we have them both. There's no external effects. High shelf boost about till like 2 o'clock. Frequency is just right of midway. Boost is just right of midway. Low shelf is right of midway. Our main volume envelope has a little bit of attack, mid-level, decay, mid-decay, mid-level. Release is slightly below 3 o'clock. Sorry, I spaced for a second. We have a frequency shifter for the first insert, which is after the first filter, and dry wet all the way to the left, pitch just left of center, but you're gonna have to tune that by ear. It adds like a slight bit of, I don't know, like, I'm not sure if it's tremolo or vibrato. It sounds like, I guess it's beating, so I'm not sure. It's an interesting effect. I guess it's frequency shifting, so they're probably canceling, so it must be tremolo and something else weird. Probably having to do with interharmonic distortion with this final P shifter. Let's see. Nope, because it wasn't on. I'm not that clever. All right. Macros, I guess. Yeah. Okay. First one is on the filter. It seems like, yeah, it's pretty much max depth. Vibrato. 2 controls vibrato. 3 controls the decay of the low pass envelope. 4 controls the drive on the P shaper. 5 controls the release on the volume envelope. 6 controls the side chaining on six. Six controls envelope 3, which is doing nothing because I deleted it. So this now controls chorusing. Okay. 7 is the frequency shifting, amount of dry wet. 8 is the low cut, or I guess it's really just a low shelf. All right. And then finally we have preset 19. All right, so we have frozen for the first oscillator, bender for the second, and square saw for the third. The first oscillator is 10 cents above, the second is 9 cents above, and this, yeah, it's dumb. 9 cents below. And then we have a square saw, one fundamental, 1 octave below the fundamental. The first oscillator, wavetable position all the way to the left, intensity in the center with on bend minus mode, amp slightly left of center, only going to the top filter. Second oscillator is bender, I think I said that already. Wavetable position all the way to the right, intensity on bend plus mode, just slightly above 3 p.m. Amp at like 4 p.m. below, directly right. Third oscillator, wavetable position all the way to the right, intensity all the way to the right on bend plus mode. Amp at 2 o'clock. Once again, all three are only going to the top filter. We have modulation OSC with phase modulation at the fundamental pitch on oscillator 3 with the phase knob all the way to the left. We have brightness or bright noise, color all the way to the right, amp all the way to the left, going into the bottom filter. We have 2 filters, a low pass 2 and a high pass 4 on. They're in parallel mode. Cutoff on the low pass or on the top filter is almost all the way to the left, just about 3 ticks on the outside. Centered on NA, I don't know why I said that. Resonance is at pretty much the same as where the cutoff is. High pass all the way to the left on the cutoff, resonance in the center. Max volume on both filters, mix at the top. No master effects. Nothing going on here. Okay. Low shelf centered, high shelf centered. Envelope 4, we have attack basically at 9 p.m. Max sustain. Release is slightly left of middle. Envelope 3 is on cutoff, about 1/4 to 1/3 depth. Attack is at like 10 p.m. Max level, very long release, about 3 ticks from max. No feedback. Insert 1, or I guess we have one more envelope. Envelope 1 is on the cutoff of the of the low pass filter, again about the same amount of depth as filter 3 or envelope 3. Attack is midway. Max level decay is at like 3 o'clock. No sustain. Mid release. Okay, macros. Macro 1 is on the attack of this envelope right here, which is controlling the filter. so we get more of an attack on the filter. 2 is release on the volume envelope. 3 is a low shelf, so cuts our lows. 4 controls the amount of noise. 5 morphs the sound. It moves the wavetable position knobs. Frequency 7 is on the frequency shift. No, 6 is on frequency shift, dry wet. 7 is on dry wet and drive on the sine shaper, and 8 is phase, the amount of phase modulation on oscillator 3. Voicing, we have 8 voices. We're in polyphony. Always trigger. Pitch cutoff is on, but we don't have any detuning. Sorry, we do. It's probably like 1 or 2 ticks over. And I'm going to switch this to 7 so that there's a centered pitch, because there's no centered pitch. Well, I guess the fundamental is, but yeah. Anyways, make it 7. Pan position on, and I'm going to set it there. I prefer full inversion for whatever reason. It's just how I like to hear it spread. It's basically whether it favors the left or right is my take on it. I think that finishes this batch, and I was supposed to do 19. I did 18. Oh well. Okay. All right, that finishes up Massive in Depth number 21 on analog leads. Once again, you can get this pack at sicktwistedminds.com. There's a link in the description, and then you can get the demo pack, which has the presets I just went over in this video. All right, thank you.